I'm Anton from Anton's Mindstorms Hacks. In this video, I'm going to try something special, something new. Instead of showing robots, I'm going to talk to a person who really inspires me, and that is Mr. Hino. Mr. Hino is a robotics teacher. He's been teaching robotics since 2014. This video might not be the usual tutorial you see on my channel. In this video, we zoom out a bit, we take a bigger view at robotics life. What does it mean to be a roboteer and teach robotics? If you're interested in a robotics career or even teaching Mindstorms yourself, keep watching and also remember to subscribe. Mr. Hino talks about his favorite robots, so sit tight for some sweet robotic goodness. Great to be chatting with you. It feels like I'm watching an interactive YouTube video. You know, there is this guy on my screen that I know from YouTube with exactly the same background, but instead of just talking to the camera, he's talking to me, and that's it's a really weird and but also nice experience. Before this chat, you know, I was researching a bit about you, and I actually could find very few personal things, maybe on purpose. So I'd like to start with some personal questions so the viewers of this video get to know you a bit. And I was wondering, in the beginning, when did it all start for you, the robotics things? What was your first Lego robot, for instance?
Okay, so I actually taught math and science. I'm an educator, so I taught math and science forever, for like 18 years. Mm-hmm. And here, my principal came into my room and just out of nowhere said, "Hey, do you want to teach Lego robotics?" And so it was one of those things where a part of me said, "Absolutely." And another part went, "Well, wait, how's that all going to work?" You know, I didn't know if that was, you know, a full time, whether that was, you know, so I was a little bit nervous, you know, and it was so new. This was back in 2014. So no, I had not even heard of robotics as far as teaching that in school. So as soon as I heard Lego, I was like, yes, you got my attention. And then when it came to robotics, I was like, okay, but I've been teaching math and science all this time. What do I have to bring to the table? So I just said, sure. I was kind of ready to move on and do something else. So it was kind of a total blessing to have that opportunity. So I jumped in and I said, you know, there really wasn't a curriculum for this. So I said, what do I do? And my principal just said, go for it. Learn what you can. And, you know, on the job training. So I said, okay, that sounds good. So that first robot I built was the educator robot, because when you got that Lego EV3 kit, it came with this booklet. I don't think they have that booklet anymore, but that's the first robot that they have you build out of that kit. So I said, fine, let's get that built. So I forgot how many pages it was, but it was super easy. And what it did is it allowed the students to just learn the different sensors, about the motor and basic programming. So it was a real eye-opening experience. Like, what is this? What does it all do? So it was kind of neat and scary to learn with the students, because, you know, as a teacher, you're always wanting to know all the right answers. And it was real weird to hear, hey, Mr. Hino, how do we do this? And I'm like, I have no idea. But, you know, for anybody in robotics, it's one of those things you just have to get used to. Like, we're going to learn this out, figure this out together. But it was real weird to start off going, I have no idea, you know. And then sometimes the students would teach me like, oh, hey, Mr. Hino, guess what I figured out? And it was like, whoa, that's, you know, that was really a cool experience to be able to go through all that.
Nice. And was it tied to your lessons? Did you want to teach the kids certain concepts, or did you just go with the flow in the robotics kit?
I kind of just took it from just the basics. Like, we just had to figure out, okay, how do we get this robot to go from point A to point B? Just learn all the different functions of the robot, like what its capabilities were. And then once we got that, then we moved on to the sensors, figuring, because it didn't take me a long time to figure out, oh, okay, that's where we're going with robotics, is figuring out how the robot moves and having that go with what all the sensors can do. So it was really neat, and the flow was pretty nice to see that it all kind of just flowed together. But it took a while.
Yeah, yeah. And I was also wondering, are you familiar with the work of Seymour Papert?
No.
Okay, it's an MIT professor, I think, and he actually coined the word Mindstorms, because his vision was that in the best way to learn for kids is that you should give them a world to explore and to play in. And I think the original Mindstorms robot was actually a cooperation between Lego and MIT for to find a way to create this world of robotics for kids to explore and learn in. So yeah, I only discovered Paper after Mindstorms because I was doing some background research, and I was really amazed by that guy. He doesn't live anymore, but he's got these awesome concepts about teaching.
Yeah, and that's a cool to see how the classroom can become that world, if you let the students have that kind of freedom to be able to, that's our number one rule in our class is feel free to make mistakes.
Exactly.
Come into the class so nervous about being wrong. And so we have to, every day, we just have to keep breaking that concept. Like, it's okay to be wrong. That's where we learn what not to do next time. So, you can see the students totally light up when they're like, I totally screwed up, but that's okay. And they can, it takes a while, but they can laugh about it,
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes you have these happy accidents where something succeeds by mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. That reminds me of the Gyro Boy. Have you ever built the Gyro Boy before?
Not that actual model. I've built Segway robots, but not that actual model, no. Why?
Yeah, it was real interesting. I had a student installed the gyro sensor incorrectly, but it was built so far deep into the robot, you would have to take the whole thing apart. So he said, what do we do then, Mr. Hino? And I said, well, I was busy with some other students. So I said, just sit down for a while and figure it out. So he actually, I have a video. It's called the gyro sensor transplant. He actually figured out if I just install it the correct way, he had to figure out how to plug it in, but it was an outside gyro sensor. So we actually it was a bypass. We bypassed the other one and he installed the new one and it ended up working. So it was one of those, things where he did something wrong, but ended up figuring out there was a way around his mistake. So it was brilliant. Yeah, I love those times.
Yeah. Okay. And then in the field of robotics in general, is there any particular robot that made a big impression on your life? Could be your early life or, movies, televisions, or even real life robots?
Okay, I'm glad you said that because especially when the pandemic started, I had my students do a lot of like online research on different types of robots. And so they would watch a video, we would have questions about it. And they definitely had their eye-opening robots. Like, no way. Okay, this one was okay, but this one was like far and above, the other ones. So we definitely had a cool time sharing the Boston Dynamics. They really liked Atlas. And I was like, I like Atlas too. It was the one that can do the tumbling. I think it does like the Parker type things where it's, scrambling over things, jumping over things. So they were completely amazed. And I was like, you're right, guys. That is a really cool robot because, robots are meant to be just so stringent in their movements. Like every movement's the same thing over and over again. But this one was, it just did so many different things. So that's what kind of made us think that one's a really cool robot. So we definitely got inspired by that. We also liked, I have a lot of kids that are athletes. So we were kind of drawn to the athletic robots too. I have a lot of students and I like basketball. So we looked up CUE. It was a robot that can just shoot free throws, and it can actually shoot better free throws than some professional basketball players. And there was a Forpheus. It was a ping pong robot. So I'm just super amazed by the robots that can react just so quick, because there was a video of a guy playing ping pong against it, and he was hitting it really fast and hard. And I was like, how does that robot pick that ping pong ball up so quick? I have a ton of kids that like soccer. You guys probably like soccer over where you are too. And so they like the robot goalie, where it blocks the soccer ball. So we're definitely impressed with the sports robots, and then the ones that just, like Atlas, that can do all kinds of cool tricks. So
nice. And have you tried building any of these dynamic walking robots?
I'm definitely captivated by the walker type robots, but not to the point where we can get it to jump or tumble. I don't know. We've actually accidentally made some robots tumble before, but I don't think anything close to what, we can see with those really neat robots. But we try.
Yeah. I tried, and I read some papers by Delft professors about the dynamics and control systems behind walking robots, but that was like way beyond my math skills. And I know quite a bit of math, but that stuff was really beyond me. It's so complex.
Yeah. I also am pretty amazed about the Rubik's Cube solving robots too.
Yeah.
I've actually had some students create that, and it the whole thing about it, just the recognizing the colors to making sure it twists or turns the right way. I'm amazed by those.
Yeah, they're amazing. I've been talking to the creator of the most famous cube solving robots, David Gilday. Do you know him?
I think I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he created, for every robotics set that has appeared with Lego, he created a cube solving robot with that. And so he's a mathematician by trade. He explained me some of the math behind it, and it's also mind blowing. Yeah. It's really. I thought I saw you build a ping pong robot, or is that? Do I remember that right, or was it like a robot where you could shoot balls in a cup, something like that?
Yeah, that was the one that. Yeah, it worked off of kind of the tension where the motor pulled it back, and it would actually the motor would like help it release. And I just kind of turned that one into a ping pong, like a tic-tac-toe type game.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was a fun robot to watch. Yeah. Okay. Obviously, after EV3, robots really stuck with you. Could you tell us a bit what makes you tick, or at least what drives you, making this YouTube channel and really going all the way with Lego Robotics?
Yeah, my channel actually began when I first started to learn about robotics. I thought, on YouTube back in 2014, there really wasn't a lot of videos, because I'd be like, I need some ideas. And there were some people that had robotic videos, but it was really hard to find. And what's really cool now is there's just so many videos out there. But so I thought to myself, if I learned something, I need to be able to not only, look for myself, like, hey, let me look up that video and see how we did this, because I'll forget. But I also thought, hey, I'll bet you there's other teachers that would really appreciate this. So my channel initially started with just trying to be able to inform other teachers about this. Like, hey, this is what we learned. This is really neat. This is a cool activity. But then it definitely evolved into, hey, that was a really fun thing. I think people would just be cool, cool for people just to watch that, get ideas, maybe inspire ideas. So then it kind of evolved to just being able to show people what we're doing in class. Like, hey, check this kind of thing out. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it then turned into, things that I built, like, hey, check this out. And what's really neat on YouTube is somebody will take an idea and just make it even better, or make, something different out of it. So it kind of opened up a whole giant world for creativity, where it's like, hey guys, this is my idea for this. What do you think you can do? And then when first Lego League, when we got into that, then I think the whole thing exploded, because, people just want to find out what are some good tips, advice, things for your team. And so it's just kind of run the full gamut for me, as far as just starting off with, and that's still my big passion, trying to help teachers like, hey, this is something we learned. Obviously in the field we're in, you make mistakes and learn from it yourself, but hey, this is something you probably don't want to learn yourself, like save yourself a month and do it this way. But it's real neat to get feedback from teachers all over the world. Like, thank you so much for that idea. And I believe that, you do the same thing. You steal ideas, you learn, what not to do. So what drives me is definitely just being able to take what I've learned and go, hey guys, this is really important, for your students, important for you. And then also what drives me is, I don't know if you do this, but I'll walk into a store or somewhere just in the world, and I'll just sit there and watch it. Like the other day, I was driving out my gate that just knows when my car is there, and it'll automatically open. And I don't know if you've seen the video that I did for that, where I'm like, hey, we can use our Lego EV3 robot to do that. It has an ultrasonic sensor. It can sense when something's near. And so a lot of times I just have fun finding something out in the world, going, I'll bet you we can make a robot that will mimic exactly what, some things in the world we see. So that definitely drives me also, just to be able to take real world things and build that with our robots.
Yeah. Yeah, I do that too. I like that a lot. It's like my way of comprehending the world, or it's, instead of taking stuff apart, I build a robot that does the same in order to understand the things I see. How would that work? What would be inside there? And yeah, that's a lot of fun. Yeah. Okay. And so about your YouTube channel, what's your focus now for the channel? Why should people subscribe to it? What will they find there?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, it's been interesting to not only, start off with what I was doing on the YouTube channel, but to see things evolve with, how you and I probably started with the EV3 and have noticed things evolving to the different kits now. So I think what's now keeping me driving is just the different kits like you are doing, trying to keep people up with the latest thing, like, hey, these are the new things you can do with Spike Prime or the Inventor. So keeping up with new kits, and then I guess just keeping up with, the different things you can do in class. I'm still trying to focus in on school teachers and what they can do with their robotics class, just because I know there's still a lot of robotics teachers out there. I get emails from teachers where I'm like, wow, you guys do robotics there? It just, in my mind, it didn't seem like it would be a place that they would, but they're doing robotics everywhere. So that's kind of my main goal still, is just to be there to give ideas and also keep up with all of the kits. The Inventor kit, I'm still pretty enthralled with. I'm like, no way, that's something that the EV3 didn't have, or you just learn something every day about the kit that you didn't know the day before. Yeah,
it's great stuff. There's so much depth in there.
Yeah, I love that kit.
Yeah. So so obviously you've been running that channel for quite a while, since 2014, probably around that time. Looking back over all those years, what are the Lego robots that impressed you most on YouTube, in the community in general?
I'm a big fan. I don't know if you've come across Danny's Lab.
Yes, yes.
There is the X-Dozer. As soon as I saw that, I was like, I am paying for those instructions, and I need to be able to just see how it worked. So it's that transformer robot where it's
Hmm.
off at one thing, and the sensor, it was the color sensor, it will make the robot just transform into something else. Because I've been working with EV3 so long, and I've been fascinated with transforming things. So as soon as I saw that, I'm like, what? You're taking my robotics kit EV3 and making something that can transform into something else. So yeah, that X dozer, that was definitely something I said, I got to get my hands on the instructions for that and be able to see that work for myself. Like I said, I'm always fascinated with those Rubik's Cube solvers. I can watch that for hours just going, wow, how does it do that? And it does it so fast. And there's just so many parts that have to work right for that thing to be able to function. So, and then definitely, like you said before, any of those first Lego League robots, where I'm fascinated with the attachments that some of those teams can do, where they can take that box robot, put an attachment over it, it comes back to base, they take it off and put something else on. I'm like, how did they figure that out? And every attachment has a different function. So my props goes out to all of those kids. These are kids that are creating those robots. So I'm just amazed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hours go into just watching those videos, going, how do they do that? So
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I can watch those over and over again. And it goes so fast and it works so well.
mhm.
But maybe that's the thing on YouTube. Like on YouTube, robots work every time. Every time you run the video, they work. That's
Yeah,
not
they don't see all the editing that had to go into that. You're right.
like okay. And then I was also wondering, with today's situation and the pandemic and all, what is life as a robotics teacher today? What does it look like?
Oh, wow. It's definitely not the same. And it's definitely, I'll be honest, it's a little tougher to get up in the morning. And then, you can feel it from the students it's one of those things where it's hard for me. It's hard for me to say, hey guys, this is what we would be doing in class if we were actually there, because you want them to be excited about eventually getting into class that day. But it's also sad for them to see that and go, oh man, this is what I'm missing out on. But yeah, right now, I would say 80 to 90% of our day is just Vex VR, just still trying to figure out programming, how things work with a robot. So that way, when we get into class one day, they're able to kind of transfer that information to a real robot. So what I try to do, try to make as many connections as I can. I can say, hey guys, with your virtual robot, this is what you did. In real life, this is the exact same project you would be doing. And so they're able to at least see it. But what's hard for me is not having them be able to tangibly touch it and see it for themselves. And, with robots in real life, they mess up a lot. With their virtual robots, I just don't want them to get their idea that it always works the same way, with their virtual robots, sometimes they'll say, but Mr. Hino, it didn't work the same way the second or third time like it did first. And I'm like, that's what real life is. Those robots always mess up and go to a different place or do something different. So, so my day is filled with excitement, but I think a lot of it is make sure you can make the connection once we get into the real robot. But yeah, things are starting to open up here. I mean, next week, I'm going to be going back to class, not for robotics, but, for just kind of getting their feet wet. And hopefully maybe next year we'll be all back in, all day. So I'm excited to see things kind of opening up over here that we can at least make strides to get back into school.
So, going back to the focus of your YouTube channel, inspiring other teachers on how to teach robotics, what would be your biggest tip for them, how to deal with the current situation?
Wow, that would be a tough one. I would say it's one of those things where, I kind of just tell my students the same thing. We can take a problem and complain about it, or we can try to figure out what can we do to make it better. So I guess my tip would be, you know, take something that you don't like and figure out, okay, what's something we can, you know, figure out, make it better than the day before. Because I've been having to do that with my students. You know, they complain to me about some things, and I say, okay, everybody, let's take a step back and let's figure out what can we do? You know, what can we do other than just complain about it? Can we, you know, have a plan B? Can we figure out a different way to look at it? So I think at the moment, that's kind of my big goal each day, is to say, don't complain about it. Just figure out how can we make it better. So.
Wow. That's a great tip. I really like that attitude. It's the positive attitude. I'd like to thank you very much for your time. It's been truly inspiring. Maybe, maybe we can do this again sometime in the future when we learn a lot again and we're different persons and the pandemic has passed. I know.
Absolutely.
Well, wasn't that inspiring? I learned a lot of the personal stuff you don't usually see online. If you like it, remember to subscribe. I'm putting a lot of time and effort into these videos, and your subscribing is really what I'm doing it for. That really makes me happy. Let me know in the comments what you think about this kind of videos. Do you want more interviews with great roboteers? Do you have other questions for Mr. Hino? Write a comment and then I'll work with it for my next video. Mr. Hino, of course, has a great YouTube channel. You'll find the link in the description below or in the card in the top right corner of the video. Be sure to check his channel out, and thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.